So you want to be able to go to the gym, give a 1% effort, so you're 1% effective, correct? Well, that's not always the game. When you have a long day, or you're traveling, or if you're just starting and you haven't pushed your body past its comfort level in a while, it's hard to really be able to tell your body to do that. That being said, there are movements out there that desensitize specific areas, along with strengthening them, and also pattern it so that it's correctly moving. Now, when it comes to working out, you always want to keep that in mind, that you're moving correctly. So again, there's no agitation of the joint or tissue, and in the long run, it's only strengthening it and not causing any dysfunctional patterns. There is a system and approach to getting your body there. Isometrics, really good for reducing pain, high repetition, building capacity in tissue, and overall frequency that you want to be doing this, so it actually adapts and sticks. This movement program, done multiple times a week, it will get you to be able to feel good, push your tissue, push your body, and get the most bang for your buck while you're there. Basically sets you up to move well and to move comfortably. So enjoy this and do it at least 3 times a week. For this portion, we're going to be using a foam roller. Make sure you take 30 seconds up to 2 minutes at each tender spot. For every movement, you're going to do 10 to 15 reps. Now, what we're doing here is we're on the upper back. We're doing the T-spine mobility, thoracic spine mobility. We're getting some life back into it. We're releasing the muscle. We're getting it so that our upper back might feel a little bit better after a hard day or after a hard night. Up and down on the upper back, and using the foam roller as a fulcrum. Again, you bend the upper back and the lumbar.
We're going to continue by releasing our latissimus dorsi. It helps with lateral flexion, shoulder extension, internal rotation, a big contributor to when we have these rounded shoulders or limited flexibility in shoulder flexion. It really pulls us down. It makes us arc our lower back. You could have a tight lower back simply because this muscle is a big contributor to tension in your shoulder, making you arc your lower back. Again, rest on every spot, 30 seconds, 2 minutes, 10 to 15 reps for any of the movements. Pause the video when you need to.
Again, remember to push pause in between each movement just to get your reps in. We're going to go ahead and start on the rectus femoris now. It's a portion of our quadricep, portion of our hip flexor complex. This muscle flexes or extends your knee in reality, but also helps in the hip flexion. So, when we're out of a long day, we went to a throw park with our family, we're at work, walking around, this one gets tight, it agitates the knees without proper length-tension relationship, starts to aggravate the knees. So again, remember, 30 seconds to 2 minutes for every tender spot, 10 to 15 reps for each movement. Headed to the side of our hip, the TFL, the glute med, even the glute max back there. We're going to go ahead and just release the entire sideline of our body. You want to make sure we have enough room between our ribs, between our hips, for proper breathing mechanics, for proper walking mechanics. Let's set ourselves up for success so we can actually move and feel good throughout the day. We're going to pull that knee up, stretch that TFL, that glute med. Get that hip to extend back, taking your time. You're on the pressure, you're putting the pressure between the groove of your greater trochanter and just below the ilium of your pelvis. Now we're on the piriformis. This one correlates and causes lower back pain, is correlated to lower back pain or discomfort. I'm hanging out on one side of the hip as I'm pulling that knee inward, releasing it and stretching at the same time. Very efficient and effective. Going ahead, we're going to start with the inside thigh. When we don't have too much stability in one leg, or we don't have too much stability in our hip, sometimes it's caused by the inside of our thigh being a little too tight, or the flexibility in our groin isn't adequate. Release the inside thigh. Get that knee up there. Basically, you're spooning the foam roller. It's kind of funny. But make sure you go from the upper groin all the way down to the knee. There's a whole complex of muscles down there. The upper knee come inward. And when you need to make sure that when you're squatting in and out of your chairs, that your knees don't get pulled in. It's just so they can track a little bit better. Moving on, I'm over here about to grab that ball. We're going to start with the shoulder and the chest, the pec major, the anterior delt. We're going to create some room in our shoulder joint by releasing our pec, releasing our anterior delt. Things that, when tight, they prevent us from reaching behind us, reaching above us, reaching to the side of us, and also rotating in our entire body. So if you feel like you have a stiff lower back, maybe it's just been working too hard because our chest won't let us actually move or rotate. Too much work in the office, too much forward movement, too much time not letting our arms reach out, giving the life back to our joints. Again, 10 to 15 reps for each of these movements, 20 seconds, 30 seconds, all the way up to 2 minutes for every pressure point that you feel. Now we're on that QL, the one that is correlated with that piriformis being tight and just overall helps or contributes to lower back pain. Putting the pressure just below that last rib, close to the spine, not on the spine, favoring the side, but really close to the spine on an area of your lower back. Pull that knee upward for added stretch and pressure. The hips come up, roll the body a little bit, get some extra pressure on those spots. This is about discovery. Feel how your body holds tone. Remember, both sides. I'm going through the fast version. Pause the video when you need to. Levator, traps, these things that elevate your shoulders. What I'm doing here is I'm putting my hand in my pocket, basically like I have a sword on the other side of my body, and I'm pulling it out, having my hand go to a 45 degree, like a single arm Y. If you've ever done the YMCA, it's just one of your arms going to that Y position. Stretching, but also patterning my shoulder to remember to stay down and back. Moving on, we're going to start stretching, getting the length tension relationship back, focusing on the length. Let your hips tilt forward, let your hips tilt back while you're in this half kneeling stretch position. Find neutral, which means that they're not too far under you, they're not too far over, and they're right in the middle, and we push our body forward. Getting our front side of our hip to open up, we're going to be squeezing our butt cheek and pushing forward while you're in this half kneeling position. Putting the foot in the middle and reaching your hip to the side is what's going to stretch your TFL after that. Now we're just looking for hip flexibility, make sure we have adequate range that we can move into. But also, again, just taking a lot of the contractions and length tension that is inside of our body and putting it to its equal tone that it can work well with the body. Preferably, again, remember to stop and pause. Each one of these movements should be done 10 times each side. We're going to fall forward into a box stretch, I call it. There's another way to get into it. It's called thread the needle, but this is box stretch. You're going to fall basically over on that 90-90. You're going to have your knee in front of your hip with the parallel line of your shin and back quad, or just overall thigh leg being parallel to each other. We're looking for a piriformis stretch and lower back. Wonderful for taking the stress off the lower back after a long day of work or just doing cool stuff. Remember, 10 repetitions of each of these. We're getting life back into those movements, creating space in the hip. We're going ahead and going to the lower back and mid upper back lat stretch, opening up
our range of motion overhead and getting some overhead function of our thoracic spine and position. 10 reps is each of those. Remember, pause when you need to. We're in a cat-cow now. Primarily when doing this, again, find over when your hips are way falling forward, creating curve in your back, and an under tuck. And in the middle position, pause in the middle position. 10 reps, every place gets a pause. We're going for child's pose now. That's when we go ahead and set our hips back close to our heels. Let our arms fall in front of us, just like a Y, and we're coming through. Take the hands from side to side and hold each position. If you have tension more on one side, you will see it and you'll feel it. Hold that side a little longer. Remember, pause when you're in these positions, guys. Pause the video. Get some reps, get some time in there, open up the body. We're stretching out the shoulder, the rhomboid, giving us some length in those tight spots back there. Moving up your shoulder mobility, 10 reaches each side. Well, we're activating now. We're turning on muscles. We're going to go ahead and start with our glute med. We're going to do some abduction. The main effort here is when you're going for this is that you're stimulating. You're not pushing the threshold too much. I want those proximal to distal tones working well. Let's really focus inside. So when you get that leg back, you don't have to go too high. Just get it up, get a good hold, get the leg behind you. You're getting your leg up and past your foot when you come through before you even start raising. Squeezing your glute the whole way through. Next, we're going for some side line clams. The effort is when you're going for that knee position, that your knees are just a little bit below your hip, your knees are also bent, your heels are right under your checkpoints, your ear, your shoulder, your hip, your ankles. They should all be in one line. Open up that knee. Remember, get 10, 15 reps of each of these movements. Feeling tight around 10, that's where you stop. I was going to throw a band on right here, but honestly, I want this more to be a let's go, let's start moving. I don't want any interruptions. I want you to be able to just flow with your movement and not need anything else but besides the release tools. So, I'm going to go over some bird dogs. The effort here is to, again, keep that neutral hip position. Not too over, not too under, right in the middle. You squeeze your glute. You reach your foot to the opposite side of the room. You reach your arm to the opposite side of that room. And when you come out for your leg, go ahead and find your comfortable and strength point. You can go out a little bit. You can go right behind you. Again, taking your time. Let's really take some holds. So hold for a good 2 to 3 seconds. 10 reps each side. Remember to pause the video. Shoulders always in line with your palms, your elbow. Get your good reaches. Don't let your shoulders be close to your ears. Flex your core down. Breathe through your belly. Create space in the spine. Really pause when you're up there too. Create that space. Your focus should be on your breath, really. And knowing how to have that demand on the body and still maintaining neutral spine, but also creating space with your breath. Creating distance between the discs. Feeling good. Feeling health. Feeling not like you're jammed together. What we're doing here is just a TVA exercise. You're just pulling in your belly button like you're trying to get a tight pair of pants on. Now we're just doing some pelvic tilts. Again, creating the curve. There's the curve. Creating the tilt inward and relaxing in the middle. Remember where neutral is. Okay, that's the middle. That's neutral. Really anterior tilt, really posterior tilt, and relax in the middle. Remember that spot. That's health. That's a comfort spot.
Another drawing in, let's stick. Do some bridging. Pause the top, 3 to 5 seconds. Remember, 10 reps. Pause the video. Remember, I expect you guys to do each side of your body if it's a single or unilateral movement. Or make sure you get reps in of 10 regardless, 10 each side, or if it's just a bilateral movement like the bridge. Pause, do 10. Get these reps in. Stimulating neutral pelvic positioning and lumbar association. We're stabilizing the lower back with our hip extension. Supine position. Going for some lateral stability and really getting some length tension relationship on your lateral side. This is a clam sideline plank. Pretty sweet movement. Keeping your hips up, you're trying to put pressure through your own arm, creating basic parabola going upward, reverse parabola, possibly, a curve like a bridge through your body from your knee to your forearms, where your hips are creating that upward curve. Remember, get your reps in, pause the video, both sides. Pause up there for a few seconds when you're at the top of that sideline plank as well. Remember, this is all about just getting life back into the body. Take your time, hit some positions that felt good to you, like the child's pose. It's just a great position for it. Lengthening the lower back, breathing into a position you feel tight in, opening up the body. Again, every position where it comes to stabilizing, it should be something you're thinking about pausing, breathing, contracting your core if it's a big demand. Like the plank. This is how we usually finish up the core and movement, proximal to distal sequence. Just open up the body, but we're going to hit some right here is just a plank. This is kind of the summary. Getting all those length tension relationships to come back to the full body plank. Something where it's just nose to toes, under tension, and enriching for pillar strength. Again, it's about feeling strong. It's about feeling everything's connected. It's about moving appropriately and the body working with you, not against you, because now you're not in awkward length tension relationships throughout your body. You should be pretty equaled up, if not on your way to getting, just better and better. Feeling good with these movements. We're just going for a little spiral twist, little stretch. Our lat, our erectors, sideline of our body, getting open a little bit. That same position that you're in to do the sideline plank, you basically come up with that same box stretch position. You just lean to the side completely. Kind of unilateral stretch in your lat, your erectors on one side. Make sure when you're getting these reaches and you're bringing the body back, don't rotate your hip too far backwards as you're rotating back. Kind of disassociate your upper body from your lower body just so you can really stretch your thoracic spine in accordance with your lat and erectors. Thoracolumbar area. This is seriously one of my favorite stretches. It feels so good. Again, take the time. Spend some time there. Get your reps in. Get your reaches. Get your pauses where you just breathe at a stretch point. Every position. Try to do reaches for reps, but also stretches and holds. Breathe into these movements. It feels amazing. Might even get a crack or two inside your back, which is nice. Nothing like a good old transverse of the drawing, transverse abdominis. Going to aim just a little marching drill. Now learning how to posterior tilt when you're in these positions as far as being on your back and doing supine ab movements. Posterior tilt and proximally to distally, letting your extremities reach outside your center of gravity. Let your core understand how to stabilize when that is outside of its natural stability point, its equilibrium. Let there be connection from your core to nose to toes, like I said. Those marching, if you can keep your hips under tucked and do the marching, go for this dead bug series where you reach the opposite arm leg and it gets even crazier. You can go for
Same side of each leg, arm and leg going down. Just mixing up the pattern. Trust me, this is one of those pat your head and rub your belly things that gets a little crazy. But just think about it. Remember, breathe through the movements, stabilize lumbar by keeping it flat on the ground. And knock these out. Take some time, 10 each, breathe into it. Draw in between. Getting that, again, those tones on the body, and then just putting a real big tone. Basically, it's the weight belt, our natural body's weight belt. So when it has all things recruited, that thing works exceptionally well. Meaning you're just making connections from your quads throughout the entire thoracolumbar, area, making your lower back just that much stronger. It's good. It's good for you. Draw in on your back. That's enough of the core movements. Remember, you pause throughout that to get your reps in, get your breathing through. This is windmills or sideline thoracic rotations, whatever you want to call them. Like I said, because your chest can be so darn tight, it might affect how much you rotate from your upper spine, leading to lower back pain because you have to do a little too much, maybe flexion in the side of the spine, or awkward extension. Just because your chest might be a little bit too tight, my friend. Give life back to it. Remember, breathe through these movements. Reach your shoulder blade forward. Make sure your knee doesn't fall off that foam roller. That's a little bit more progress upward. Feel it though. Reach into those boundaries above you. It is wonderful when you have overhead stability and flexibility and strength. Both sides. You can tell I really like this one. This is one of my favorites because I'm always into both sides. Throughout this, like I said, I didn't do every side of the body, but pause. Make sure you get both your reps in for both sides. Open up your chest on these rotations. Push your arm forward. Not rotating until you have your hand actually all the way up through gravity, and then rotating the body. Reach. Look at my knee moving a little bit. I didn't like that, so I'm going to kind of readjust, recalibrate how much I'm going to really rotate with this. Try not to move that knee. That's good. That's better. I actually tore a little bit of my infraspinatus a while back doing improper technique for some cable flies. Not flies, just cable presses. And I was actually in the middle of a bodybuilding show. So I was pushing my body pretty hard. Either way, some of these movements brought my shoulder back to just full strength and full stability. Another drawing, like I said, drawing's the best. What we're going for now is actually more so the, what is it? Just, it's what yogis call, what is it called? Shavasana. Always cool. Bring the body down, letting it get out of that sympathetic nervous state, back into the parasympathetic relax, rest, digest state. And actually, we're going to take this time because it feels good. This is a P and F pattern, guys. Another one of those ones that just helps nourish your joint action so that when you're reaching for things above and if you usually have pain, this movement kind of brings the proper mechanics back so you might be a little less prone to making the aggravations throughout your day. Again, hand down into the pocket like you're pulling out a sword and up to that Y, YMCA. Make sure your ribs aren't flaring up, that they're nice and down, and you're able to breathe according. That's the good stuff. Right now, I'm putting my hand down at my side. I'm externally rotating my shoulder joint. I'm almost like I'm trying to keep a bowl of soup able to stay up, and I'm reaching to the other side. Now I'm internally rotating my shoulder, and I'm reaching it to the other side. Remember, get your pause, my friend. Pause and do these positions. Fill it out. Now I'm going for a little lumbar stretch, little side TFL, little glute med stretch. Feel that lower back release. And that's the stuff. That's
So
it.
as always, guys, I'm Aaron Sanchez. I'm here to make you feel good throughout the day, all day, every day, throughout the week. If you want a little more information or any specific guidance on any of those movements, keep me updated, interact with me, ask me some questions. I'd love to tailor fit a video just for you. So again, stay updated on those movements. Keep me updated throughout the week. Thanks for watching. I'm Aaron Sanchez, and you have a great day.